Oh, I try to get them to be a little more sensitive. You know, you look around the Congress, there are a lot more females in the Democrat caucus than there are in the Republican caucus. And, some of our members just aren't as sensitive as they ought to be.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. That was John Boehner speaking earlier today, saying how Republicans need to be more sensitive when dealing with women, talking about women's issues, talking to women. Joining us now to talk about that and so much more is the chairman of the Republican National Committee, Reince Priebus. Hello, sir.
Hey, how you doing, Steve? Nice to be on the show.
It is such a pleasure to talk to you. I can't tell you. I've been an admirer of yours, and I'm glad we're finally doing this. And thanks for coming on. But let me ask you about what John Boehner said. Is he creating an issue that really didn't need to be addressed, or is he addressing an issue that craved addressing?
Well, I mean, I think that all of the committees and all of the different groups have all kinds of candidate training that they're going through, and I think it's pretty par for the course to, you go take issue by issue and you talk about demographics and you talk about dynamics in campaigns. I mean, I don't think it's any surprise that you talk about tactics and dynamics with candidates in order to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward in the field. So I don't know. It's a different committee. I mean, we've got different programs here, and, it's just really not something I'm too involved with as far as what the congressional committee is doing.
Right, yeah, and we should point out that he was talking about reports that there is this training going on, and, to me, a better answer would have been, hey, look, we're working hard to reach out better to all constituencies instead of saying...
that's what we've talked about in the beginning of the year. You might remember we did this growth and opportunity report, and so many people have talked about it, but really... a lot of it had to do with the fact that, it's like what our mothers told us so many times in our life. It's not what you say, it's how you say it, and it's reaching out and talking to different demographic groups and being more consistent. And I think that we could, that's an improvement that the party could use in all kinds of areas. But I would imagine that the Democratic Party has improvements they need to make, too. So I don't know how... I guess it's a slow time in the news media, but with Obamacare out there, I guess they're looking for anything to talk about because they're just dying with the fact that Obamacare is a bad issue for the president. They probably don't want to talk about it anymore.
Well, yeah, no, I absolutely. And the president, of course, is looking for different issues. And before we get to Obamacare, let me ask you about that. The president now, going back to all of a sudden, it's not jobs, it's not putting people to work, it's not even health care. The issue, the focus of the remainder of his presidency will be income inequality. Where on earth, he used to talk about that, but where did that come from as the number one priority of the rest of his presidency?
Right, and he continues the lies. Because here's the other thing, and I know that our listeners here understand this stuff, but just as a reminder, because I need to be reminded too of some of these things. It was under this president, Mr. Income Inequality, that you've seen some of the biggest spreads of income inequality on his watch than any president that we've had in modern times. In other words, the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer, and it's happening under Barack Obama's watch. Look at the stock market. Look at the income distribution at the top 5%. They're doing a lot better under Barack Obama. Look at food stamps, Steve. We've had a 50% increase of people in this country that are on food stamps with this president. When Newt Gingrich, I think it was him, when he called him the food stamp president, it wasn't just some sort of cute label. The fact is, people under Barack Obama are poorer today than they were when he started. He's the guy that should be talking to himself and looking at his own face in the mirror and giving the speech to himself about income inequality.
We're talking to Reince Priebus, the chairman of the RNC, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Before we get to Obamacare, I just want to talk about the youth, and the approval rating among Americans is 41%, but he has really taken a huge hit with young Americans, the ones who helped get him elected. They're disappointed. They don't like Obamacare. They don't like him. They don't trust him. I mean, these numbers, quite frankly, are pretty shocking.
Well, I'll tell you why. It's because the Obamacare package was designed to screw over young people. It wasn't a mistake. This thing was not an accident. It was intentionally designed. Obamacare was intentionally designed to screw over young people so that young people pay for everyone else's stuff. That's what's going on. And don't make no mistake, this is not the last time you're ever going to hear me say these things. It's about time that we start telling the truth and quit monkeying around with talking points and go right to the American people and right to young people and say exactly what I just said. They're getting screwed over by a designed plan to take more of their money to pay for the stuff of other people.
All right, go ahead. No, I was going to say go finish, but I want you to hear. You well know this. You were on with Debbie Wasserman Schultz on Crossfire and CNN, and wow, that was quite a battle a couple nights ago. And I want to play a soundbite from that. Let's play that CNN clip, please.
When a woman comes up to me who's dealing with breast cancer, and she's told me that under the old system, before the Affordable Care Act, she had to choose between the radiation or the chemo because she couldn't afford the copay or the deductible on both. You're darn right.
Have you seen the polling in Montana, in Alaska, in South Dakota, in Arkansas on Obamacare? I mean, it's unbelievable.
Mr. Chairman, have you seen the polling?
And that's fine. I'm happy that you're going to run on Obamacare.
Repealing the Affordable Care Act, and have you seen the polling in support of all of the provisions that the chairwoman just went through? And you said that you have a plan. I'd like to hear exactly what your plan is that Republicans are running on, other than repeal.
All right, here's something I've been talking about for a long time, Reince, and I'm getting different answers from different people. You know, Tom DeLay said, no, the Republicans should not put forth the plan because it's unconstitutional. The whole concept of federal government involvement in health care is unconstitutional. I've had people tell me, well, let's go back to the way it was before. But I know the media, I know the Democrats, like I know, the little scar I got on by my eye there. And the fact of the matter is, if you put forth a plan, which I believe you should, to shut them up with these, where's your plan, where's your plan, where's your plan? And if it doesn't include keeping somehow pre-existing conditions, eliminating them, the donut hole closing or opening, whatever the heck it did, and keeping your kids on the policies until they're 116 years old, you're going to get beaten up in the media worse than you could imagine. So what do you suggest Republicans do?
Okay, first off, you mind if I just hit one thing?
Go ahead.
About that clip?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Honestly, it is sad if someone's going through cancer. I mean, I would never want. I mean, I've not gone through that. My mom, my wife, So I'm sensitive to those comments. But I would think that if someone had gone through that, they'd also be even more sensitive about the fact that millions of people are losing their health care and losing their doctor. Can you imagine going through that and then getting dropped from your catastrophic plan, or being told that, hey, the doctor you've been seeing for the past year and a half, that's not going to be your doctor anymore? I mean, I just find this to be sort of, they're cherry-picking cynicism that has developed into the Democratic talking points on this issue is dishonest from the beginning to the end.
Absolutely. You're correct. You're 100% correct.
So that's the first thing. The second thing as to this plan, there are two things I want to say about that. First, I'm sick and tired of the idea of being, I'm guilty of wanting to repeal, defund, and eliminate Obamacare because it's a disaster. I believe it's unconstitutional. I don't believe people want it. I think it's bad for this country. And so, yes, I plant my flag on the side of saying I want to get rid of Obamacare, and I don't think there's a darn thing wrong with that. But secondly, what I would rattle off immediately is, number one, open pricing. Make doctors and hospitals show us what they charge for their services. Number two, end junk lawsuits. Number three, I would have small businesses and individuals pool all of their millions of people and companies pool their resources together to allow for more access and lower prices in 1, 2, 3 bullet point. My point is, and I know you've heard these things 100 times, but the fact is, these are things we've never tried. We've never tried it. So the false choice we're given by these Democrats is either you agree that universal European health care is right for this country, or you're an idiot because you don't have an alternative. I mean, it's just stupidity.
I understand that, and the polls are with you guys right now, and I could only see it getting worse because next year, as you well know, 100 million of us are going to lose our policies. So I understand that, but wouldn't you love to? Should the House not pass something on one piece of paper?
Maybe they will. I mean, maybe they will. But we've had 200 of these bills that have gone through. Now, should we repass another one just to make the point? I mean, maybe that's what they'll do. I'm not, I don't decide the flow of legislation, and usually it's a bad thing when I get involved in it. But I would just tell you that there are those three things I mentioned. Boom, boom, boom.
Yep.
Open pricing, junk lawsuits, pooling. There people say competition across state lines.
Yep.
Is number 4.
Yep.
But we as a party. What's very clear, though, in spite of my defense and you and I talking about this, it's very clear as a party that our candidates and our members, and me included, have to be very prepared to rattle off those 3 or 4 things immediately. And it has to be quick because, the Democrats will come and say, well, I think everyone should have health care. That's all. Like, okay, well.
No. Hey, Reince, let me tell you something. I agree with everything you said, and in an age of a fair media, that would resonate. But and I know, with all due respect, they're going to kill you if you don't say to them, when they say, what about pre-existing conditions? And you say, well, free market, savings accounts, whatever. They're going to kill you.
Well, actually, here's the other thing on this. First of all, Republicans have been out in favor of the pre-existing conditions piece. And as far as 26-year-olds being on their parents' insurance, all the insurance companies have already said, we're for that. We'll let that happen. We don't have a problem with that.
I know, but if you guys say you're for it, instead of saying the insurance companies will do it on their own.
Yeah, I did on Crossfire,
okay,
but what could you hear in 20 minutes?
I know. Look, it's just an uphill battle, and you know just as well as I, and I pride myself on knowing. And one more thing, and we're almost out of time. Thanks for being generous with your time. Ted Rall, the liberal cartoonist who's in trouble now, they said he drew a racist caricature of Obama, which he says is obscenely ridiculous. He said if Hillary's the nominee, sexism will be the new racism in the 2016 election. If you disagree with Hillary, you're sexist. If you criticize her, you're sexist. And on the heels of what Boehner said today, do you believe that to be true?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know what the cartoon you're referring to is, but
no, not the cartoon. But he just said going forward, Hillary is.
I think that there's clearly there has been a double standard, but the fact is we have to be. I don't really use it as an excuse. I think we just have to be better. We have to be great. They can be good. We've got to be great, and we just have to accept it that that's the way it is.
All right. Reince, a pleasure talking to you. I look forward to speaking to you the next time, whenever that might be.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye. That's Reince Priebus, ladies and gentlemen, chairman of the RNC here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Very interesting, and we'll continue to discuss that. When we come back, Dr. Scott Gottlieb, resident fellow, American Enterprise Institute, talking about the exchanges. And can you keep your doctor? Is there a doctor shortage? All that and more straight ahead on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV. And, of course,